Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Timelines Unbound. It has been a very long time since the last episode. Some things have changed, obviously, around the map. This religious map is not going to be used well, much, but there's religion now. And some changes have happened, mostly expansion. Some walls were built, and the Vikings are invading these guys. Yeah, the English are invading Normandy, too. I forgot about that one. These guys? Oh, yeah, these guys are Irish vassals. I forgot. And Rome's being invaded because the Slovaks want to spread their glorious religion. And yeah, that's the gist of what's happening. These guys are getting just wombo comboed. It's not going to last long for them. And Toulon's united again. You can probably read the wiki to see what actually happened. I don't care to explain it. Yeah, let's right, we're gonna go left or right for the events. Oh yeah, Portugal's colonizing. Typical, typical, typical. Or not colonizing. That's not going to happen for a while. So for Alaska, they're not going to do too much. However, they will be expanding across the Bering Strait, which is not humanly possible, but this is not a very human game. So, okay, I'm on the religion map mode. So they're just going to casually take over the rest of Aleut, and some of these ice caps up here are claimed by them, I guess. They're not really conquered. Nobody lives there, but they're claimed, and they're even going to spread over here into Kamchatka area. Yeah, along the coast there. They discovered some of these islands too for some very hardcore sailing. And Iceland, they're not doing too well internally because they're freaking massive after a few thousand years of expansion. So they're going to expand up here, and then some bad things start happening because these settlers are not receiving a lot of support because early colonization is not easy. So what do? Oh, that's not good. What do when they don't like the government? That's not very pretty. It would appear as if a very large portion of the settlers have just I don't know why Greenland got deleted. It would appear as if a very large portion of the settlers have broken away, and a lot of these ice sheets up here, their claims are gone completely. And Iceland is devastated, really. And some new capitals are going to be built, obviously, because Greenland doesn't even have a capital, so they build a new city right here. As for Svalbard, they have a city. Prepholm finally surrenders to the Vikings, and the Vikings put heavy tariffs and taxes and money stealing on them. So the Vikings politely take all this territory over here, and they start invading these guys more, the Gothenburgers, if you will. They take over this land over here, take over all these cities over here, which cripples the Gothenburger economy and all these cities here. And then they surround the capital, and the Gothenburgers are like, okay, we'll surrender as long as you don't take the capital. And they do just that. The peace treaty looks something like this. The rest of Denmark is handed over to the Vikings, and Gothenburg, they're not looking too hot when their cities are taken. And the Vikings, they continue colonizing up here, up to this point here. As for Prepholm, they colonize this area here, and in the middle of doing that, they discover gold. The Prepholmers use this gold to very, very swiftly fund some mercenaries to kick out these guys. Yeah, they just kind of casually kick out the world destroyers from Finland, and surprisingly, the Vikings do not find out about this gold issue. As for the Vikings' religion, they are atheist, which is not very good for their alliance, who is kind of pissed at them for being atheist. Specifically, these three here do not very much like the Vikings, so they're going to form a little alliance. What shape should this one be? Let's do a blue gear. Yeah, that's freaking cool. So this little blue gear alliance has been formed, and even the Gothenburgers, despite what the Vikings told them to do, join, and the Prepholmers. So the Vikings expansion is kind of stuck. They are pretty even with all these nations combined. As for the little Reconquista happening here, these guys are just being steamrolled because the Romans are not very good at keeping their stuff together. And ultimately, the Romans just surrender because their government is completely disjointed, and peace treaty has to be drawn with Rome. And this peace treaty is not very nice. So looking at the religion map, Ordonism has to expand all the way. Ooh, okay, am I on political mode? It gets expanded across here, all like this, and only Central Rome remains atheist. They're kind of just the atheist capital of the world. As for all this land up here, it's kind of just disconjointed, free for the taking for these new city-states, which have been created by the Slovaks. They aren't vassals, they're free nations, of course. And Rome is back, which is cool. Anyways, the Caribbean people, they expand into the Yucatan Peninsula, into Venezuela, over here, and up through Florida even more. Brazilians, they don't do anything for now. They're still developing new toxins and poisons. I wonder what those are for. Costanorambia is just developing. They build some new cities, especially trade cities. In between these cities here, they just build a bunch of trade cities to connect to the capital. Even one over here, which is very cool. They're developing rapidly. The Filipinos take over the rest of the Philippines. Yeah, surprising. As for the war in Egypt, Egypt is just steamrolling the Libyans, who were created to spite the Egyptians, I guess. And yeah, Egypt is very successful, and the Egyptians, or the Libyans, eventually surrender. The Egyptians are very kind, and they only take a little bit of land. However, they do punish them severely, in the matter of that this entire nation over here is just kind of released. All of this is now a nation, and we need to establish some new capitals, of course. So this new nation's capital is right here, as expected. Sicily, right around all of these little cities, free cities, if you will. I wonder what that's referencing. Dennis and the Byzantines, where the first part of the deal transfers occupation of all of this land in Anatolia, Rhodes, Crete, and all of the land in Greece. And yeah, Byzantium's pretty big now. Pretty big. As for the war in Ruthenia, yeah, it's not very good. The Forgotten, they're just steamrolled immediately. As for the peace deal, Muscovy completely takes them over, just cause. Speaking of Muscovy, they kind of just, snatch all of this territory down here because nobody else is going to take it. And Muscovy's looking a little big, which is good for them. Perhaps. Some minor border conflicts happen here. I wonder what that's all about. As for these Thai people, they continue their colony around Sumatra, and it grows very rapidly. Nicobar is completely taken over. And they start pushing for the jungles here and connect up with their land down here. Sorry, the borders look like crap. I kind of don't feel like using the province map right now, especially now in India. Sorry. Anyways, the Papuans have taken over all of the Solomon Islands and are continuing down into these islands here, and even into Fiji, because they kind of can't go this way, because there's a humongous jungle right here. However, they do take over some of these western islands here, so they're becoming a very islander nation. Using the immense gold, this Australian nation here just casually expands and takes over the rest of the island. It would be a shame if those gold deposits depleted. Another little fact about this new kingdom west of here, it's not atheist either. It's completely ordinist. Let's just splotch it on there. Why not? Yeah. Bad things are happening. As you can tell, these guys down here are ordinists, but these guys up here are not. So, the only logical thing to do is leave these guys completely, because religious stuff, we hate other religions. Completely. Slavic religion expands over here. This little heart alliance here disbands because it's kind of redundant now, since they're already in an alliance together anyways. Speaking of the alliance, these two alliances, they kind of joined together into one, with support from Orange France. The English are completely kicked out of France. The English are kicked out of France, and they sign a peace deal where England gives a lot of money to these guys. But that's kind of a waste of their time, because a royal marriage of sorts has happened between the two Frances. Once rivals, now lovers. And this city here is now going to... And these guys end up in a union with the Orange French. Yeah, there's a French union now, and they're prohibited from expanding too, because the Orange French want all of this land in the center here, for no reason at all, really, other than its land. Breaking news, Spain just lost a bunch of land to religious revolts of sorts. What religion are you asking? Well, it's this unnamed blue religion. I was going to make it green, but then I realized that's just Sunni Islam, so let's not do that. Fix these coasts too. Yeah, so these new blue nations exist now, and there's a third already existing nation that's converting to the blue religion. Yep, it's Popeyes. Now, what's the lore of this blue religion? I don't really know. Make something up for all I care. Oh yeah, a lot of religious peoples from Gothenburg were expelled, and even some islanders were banned from practices. So religion is kind of dead in Gothenburg for now, unless they create a new one, which would suck. This Popeyes is a new color now. I was talking about these cities snatching land earlier, and that's exactly what they're going to do now. North of this is taken by these cyan people. It's all taken. All this land over here is taken by the purples. All this land up to Rome is taken by the white red. These guys take that. These guys push for Rome, but are stopped by, the actual atheists. And Grey Rome takes all this stuff up here. Yeah, the Italian peninsula is a little bit messed up. As for the Slovakians, they kind of just expand a little bit eastways into this area over here. And The Empire of Nitra is very large. Very, very large. Anyways, not all is good. The Vikings have begun a second act of religious expulsion against the prep homers. They found out about the gold, and they are not happy. But what they also don't know about is the alliance. So they begin invading the prep homers, and that triggers the alliance to also declare war. And the Vikings are pretty shocked when Gothenburgers start pushing through their lands around their walls, which is pretty bad. They even take back Copenhagen over here, and the Germans start invading this peninsula over here. Yup, a great war has just begun between three major factions, really. Those being this coalition of sorts, and the British Alliance, who is a third party, really. They're supporting the coalition and their deeds because they do not support the Vikings in their endeavors because they've been invaded by the Vikings many times. And we're going to see how this war plays out next episode. Thank you for watching. I'm sorry this episode is shorter than most. I didn't want to go crazy with expanding a bunch of nations for now. So yeah, thanks for watching. Goodbye.